Hi everyone, it's Tracy here. I wanted to talk to you today about fighting fair. When we argue, arguing can be something that's really great to happen in a relationship. And I've spoken about this before, but I wanted to bring in the visual aspect now that you hopefully have watched a video I've done previously on what a trigger is. If you haven't watched that one, go back. It's a few videos ago. I'm wearing the white shirt still because I'm batching my videos. To talk about the inner child and the healing of triggers and how it is we need to heal triggers. It's a really important thing to understand, because now we're going to talk about fighting fair and arguing fair. And this is what generally doesn't happen in relationships or whenever any argument is happening, because a lot of arguments happen because you get triggered. That's right. You get triggered, and so who's having the argument if you get triggered? If this is me and if this is my partner and we're about to argue, you argue usually because you've been triggered. And now if you've been triggered, it's not your present day self that's actually having the discussion anymore, is it? Because if we were having an issue in our relationship as our present day selves, we could sit down quite easily and have the discussion. And we would use words like compassionate communication. When this happens, I feel this way. And they would say, oh, I had no idea that that's what was happening. I am so sorry. What can I do to support you through this? Well, what I would like to happen is this. So in order for me to feel safe and heal this is what I would need for you to do. Of course, no problem. I would love to do that for you, and let's work together to make this happen. Now that is a perfect case scenario. That is two involved people who know how to use compassionate communication, like I said, who are dedicated to helping support and meet each other's needs and to heal and grow together. And that's when the relationship can start to grow and move forward in a really beautiful way. Here's what happens every other time. So we know what happens when we get triggered now. It is not the present day self that gets triggered. It is the inner child, the part of you that's broken off from each other that is actually triggered. It's not your present day self. It's the little person of some age. It could be any time in your life where a trauma began. So it's not actually two adults that are arguing. It's two children that are arguing. And two traumatized children who are separate from the present day self. So they've been left alone. Say if they're 40 years old now, and this happened when they were both 5 years old, then we've got 35 years of the inner child, this wounded child, being separate from the self. So we've got a whole bunch of issues. We don't just have the initial trauma, we then have the abandonment issue of having 35 years of being left outside of the psyche and not being brought back to the self. 35 years of this one being left out, being, re-traumatized constantly and never actually healed. So, do you think that these two 5-year-olds are going to fight fair? These two 5-year-olds are going to fight in the best way that they know how, which is as a 5-year-old. They don't have the skills or the abilities to hold back. All they have the ability to do is scream as much as they can and hurt the other person in any way that they know how to. And when you're a little child and you get into a fight and you feel unsafe, you want to take the other person down no matter what. So you'll say some pretty horrible things. And the whole point of that is to hurt the other person. It's not to help. It's not to do anything constructive. It's to just get out the emotion that you're feeling in the moment. Children don't have the brain development and the nervous system development to be able to step back and think before they speak. They're very impulsive. Anyone who's got kids knows that. Anyone who's parented anyone knows that. They speak first, think about it later. So they're not going to fight fair because they're doing the best they can as 5-year-olds, and 5-year-olds who are scared, sad and abandoned. So I wanted to show you this so that you get an understanding of with your partner. And this is why when I say to people, I do divorce coaching, but what I do is I do healing through divorce. So if you've chosen to separate and it's over and you know it's over, what I actually do is the deep healing work so that you're healing this so that you can be more present in the moment, so that you can see your way clearly through what's ahead of you. If you're having relationship issues, this is what I teach you, and there's many ways that I teach you. This is just the first layer of triggers. Like I said previously in other videos, I also teach the masculine and the feminine, what they want, how they communicate, the polarities that go, the polar arc that happens from man to woman or masculine to feminine, and how that all plays out, which I've done before, so go back and have a look at those videos. But I wanted to show you today, when you're having an argument with your partner, this is who's doing the arguing, because these two know how to communicate clearly and effectively, and they actually want to support each other to move forward. And if you can do the healing and understand what's going on there, and even if your partner is triggered, something gets triggered within them and you don't mean to do it, if you've done the healing work, you will be able to sit in empathy, and you will be able to understand when they start going on about you did this. You're like, whoa, hold on. Okay, I'm really sorry. I've triggered something here. Can we talk about what that is? What on earth happened? And instead of being triggered myself, because what usually happens is you get triggered and then that one triggers this one, and then it's all on for young and old. Young and old, see? It's on for young and old. Maybe that's where that saying came from. But when you're able to do the healing, if one of you has done a lot of inner child healing and this one can, gets triggered, you don't have to get triggered as well. You can actually, so couples counseling is great, but if people came to me as a couple, I would actually choose to do individual therapy as well, so that I could work on healing these, bringing these back in and integrating them, so that when you are arguing, you can fight fair. And it actually isn't an argument. It's sitting down and going, when this happened, I felt this way, and I really didn't like that, and I want to talk about how we can change this. And the other partner goes, of course, absolutely. Because if this one is the one that's coming with the issue, instead of it having the big fight and going into the inner child and wounded and throwing knives across to the other side, what this one's able to do is to go, wow, I've actually been really triggered by this, and it is something that I would like to work on healing. And I know it's not your fault. I know you didn't mean to hurt me. I know that that's not what's going on here, but it has triggered something in me, and I really want to work with you to heal my triggers. Can you feel the difference in that? Can you feel the safety in that? That's what we want to work towards in relationships, is that we actually have that really safe place where we have self-responsibility. And when you can have self-responsibility and you can take responsibility for the healing that you need to do, and you can do that individually, that's when this becomes something really special, and you can take it to a new depth, and you can actually really go to beautiful places with each other. But first of all, you have to do some of this healing, because if you try and do this too early and you haven't healed this, it becomes a shit show really fast. So if that is something that has given you an aha moment and it's something that you would like to really explore, please send me a DM or just book via my website. All of the bookings there at tracymalone.com.au. I would really love to support you through this.